a lovely day, isn't it? And in the studio, we are assuring you that we're going to be disturbing your lives. A lot of people will be brought to the table, and the table will definitely rock. Because sometimes we think we're too young to do certain things. Where are all the Gen Zs and the millennials? Come into the room. It's important you join us for this very topic. What's the topic? Well, I choose to call it Your Sunset, but generally we call it retirement. A lot of times we think it's something that will come, forever. It sure does come real soon. And that's why we must not procrastinate. We must prepare. Now, I'm often told that procrastination is the mother of failure. Yes. So if you fail to prepare, you definitely fail to live right when it's time. Is it a curse? Is it a blessing? I don't know. But at the end of today, we'll find out. And very importantly, for those of us in civil service, it's important to know when to begin and how to begin and the road to take to ensure that we live happily and well, even when we are no longer working. My name is Elizabeth, and the show is Conversation. I know that Joy is preparing for retirement, or are you?
No, I'm not preparing for retirement. My name is Joe Kwanachi, and it's good to be here this morning.
Okay.
Well, my name is Devanhama Mom. I didn't retire, I resigned.
Oh, that's your retirement.
I'm preparing for retirement too.
Okay.
So.
All right. And
well, my name is Ifeanyi Ile. I'm an accountant. I'm still in service, so I'm still here. So
you're definitely preparing.
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm at the stage of
and this is shaking the
yes. Table
for, and I wish I had my bell to ring for the retiree amongst us.
My name is Mary Okpe. A lawyer, a fashion designer, and a retiree.
That is it. Did you hear the sequence? She first studied law. In the course of it, she has always had this thing about fashion designing. Yes. In the course of it, you build it, am I right?
Yes.
And then now you're enjoying everything. You get to tell us how you got that done. But then, let's take a breather at this point and get to join some people who actually try to package something on prepping up for retirement. We'll be right back. In life, there is time for everything. A time to be born and a time to grow. A time to play and a time to rest. A time to live and a time to die. A time to work and a time to retire. Each of these timed events hold different emotions for the people involved. For the adult, getting a job always holds great joy, but retiring from the same job after due service years often come with a potpourri of emotions. For some, it is a sad event because of the fear of the unknown. To a very small percentage of others, especially here in Nigeria, it can be a good thing because they probably planned and are looking forward to the next level. A pendulum indeed it is, making one wonder if retirement is a curse or a blessing.
It depends on how you prepare yourself. Most people, when they get into an employment, it is stated there the number of years you're going to work, but they forget it. They don't think about it. And now when it's about 1 or 2 years to retirement, you see them planning. You begin to do all sorts, saying, I'm preparing to leave, I'm preparing to go. So a habit you didn't form for over 30 years will be difficult for you to form in 2-3 years. I keep saying that when you can't save when you earn 10,000, you can't save even if you earn 2 billion. Savings is about lifestyle. It's about culture building. It's about attitude. It's about what you have intended to do. You make up your mind to start saving. Retirement is a blessing if you prepare very well, or when you prepare very well. Retirement is a blessing because it gives you opportunity to get into other things. And they told us that as you're signing up your employment letter, you should also know that you're signing your exit letter. So you begin to plan, you run the race. So please, retirement for me is not a curse.
The popular saying, As you lay your bed, so you lie on it, has a lot of meaning here. In the words of Sir Alexius Ndukwo Elezo, the best time to start planning and implementing your plan for retirement is the very moment you start your job. Else, it becomes a curse rather than a blessing. Do you have a retirement plan today? How far have you gone in implementing it?
Oh, I think everybody should plan for retirement from the day they start doing anything. From the day that your parents are not so much, you realize that the money that's coming out from their pockets is reducing small. You understand? You're like, they're telling you secretly, you're grown, take care of yourself. Then you should be thinking about retirement. And, oh my God, I think after being in media for so long, I studied mass comm, done all forms of media. I want some peace and quiet, man. And I want somewhere that is rejuvenating for my soul. I tell people what I want for retirement, they always laugh at me. So y'all don't laugh when I say this, okay? All right? You ready? I love animals. I love animals so much, and I would love to retire to like a ranch, maybe in the east, because I'm Igbo. You know, there's a lot of space, a lot of land there. I want to have horses, pigs, sheep, cows, you know, probably a couple of bed and breakfasts there that people can come and rent out. You know, my grandkids will come over, and when they come over, I'll just use all of them as, you know, you go pick the eggs in the morning we're going to eat for breakfast. You, tomatoes, you go scrub the pigs, you know, all that kind of.
Well, I was just saying I love the dream for mahogany, and I hope it comes to bear. You need to really save big time to be able to achieve that. And while that was going on, inside here, I wish the microphone was played up. You would have seen the kind of arguments going on. And let's start from the retiree before I get there. How does it feel like being retired?
It's just wonderful. The fact that I don't have to jump out of bed in the morning, like I told Devon when we spoke on the phone. I said, I'm not used to being out of bed before 8 anymore. She said, then go to bed earlier. So it's wonderful doing your own thing in your own time. I can only say it's wonderful.
Wow.
I'm rocking it.
Wow. You know, for a lot of people, they are retired. In fact, in Nigeria, almost 70%, the story is on the other side. And I'm wondering, what prepared you to this wonderful experience for you?
I can't say I'm totally in control of what prepared me. Because a lot of things I would just say, God put them in place. As cliche as that might sound, but that is it. One, I had my children early. So they were out of school. They were done with education. I didn't have to pay school fees or do school runs anymore. And so whatever money should have gone into caring for these children, I could now put it into myself, into my dream. And that being said, I'd always had a passion. Like I say, I have a passion for fashion. And so I began to pick up a machine here, a machine there, you know. The civil services, the only occupation you as a civil servant can engage in is agriculture.
What about tailoring?
Oh, they say it's agriculture. And we are not that all that inclined. My inclination was for fashion. Luckily for me, I also have a daughter-in-law who loves fashion. So
while you were in service, you were already working with her?
Yes, I had her so she could start this while I was in service. And so when I retired, I just flowed into it. So that's it. Okay.
It's a nice one. My takeout from what you said really is ability, because when I was talking with Fanny yesterday, you mentioned something about cash flow, you know, being stopped. Maybe sometimes it's trickling in, you know, so the ones that are trickling in, you're making use of it. And the way to actually get that done, you just mentioned, is doing certain things at certain times.
Yes.
Even though, like you said, it's not in our control. Some people don't marry early because it just wasn't happening. But I also know that as of today, that's why I said all the Gen Zs in the house, all the millennials, you must come in here today because you're out of school and you're waiting to start earning money and make your salary up to 10 million before you do a wedding. What is that? You know, start somewhere. You know, you can, once you want to marry, wedding is for two people. I don't think you should, even if you don't have money, let me just let it know first. If I know you, this conversation we had it in details yesterday.
Yes.
You want to pick up on it?
Well, basically, I think the key is for us to always start early. You know, like she rightly said, she got married early and settled in fast. You know, and yesterday we were having that conversation and we were talking about gone are the days where children becomes a retirement package for you.
True.
Yeah, so those days are over. So you just have to start early, do what you have to do, and then maintain a consistent cash flow. Because the challenges most times will be, oh, these salaries have stopped. So what next? And then you don't have a savings plan. You don't have what you're falling back to. You're looking at, oh, I have this number of children. Can they come true for me? And they're not just there when you really need them. And don't forget, old age comes with a whole lot of baggages. And if you're not prepared health-wise, what are you going to do? Your drugs, your care, your food type changes. Your lifestyle changes basically, you know, when you just leave the civil service. So planning, starting early will just help you to, you know, sit in well at retirement and then go for your passion. What are the things like she discovered that passion early enough. And then like we were saying before we came on air, the fear of, you know, I'm going into retirement, I won't see these monies anymore, you know, creeps in. And that in itself is even a challenge, you know, for anyone who was active in service before and then all of a sudden becomes a shadow of himself because there was no plan in place. There was no, you know, savings. I can tell you that a whole lot of people just earn money without even planning to save. And then they use up the funds and you ask, okay, why are you not saving? You say the money is not enough it's not even enough to use, not talk about save. But I tell you, what do you call enough? It's a discipline. By the time you create it as a culture, I can take out something and set it aside. Thankfully, we have payment systems that are, you know, electronic, that you just program it and then it runs all through for as long as you want it to. So it's easy. You set out some amount and you just close your eyes to it. You are earning this X amount of money minus this one, and that one just goes for, you know, the first stage of retirement, which is accumulation. You need to accumulate money for yourself before you start even talking about even the pre-retirement. You start accumulating funds so that just in case, before you begin any other thing, you will have something to fall back to because it's there waiting and it's something that must surely come.
Definitely.
So when you don't accumulate those resources or funds, how do you even fund your dreams? How do you even fund your passion? You know, how do you even look at those things that you really want to do? Like we had someone who was saying a while ago, she wants to go into ranching, she wants to do all of that. But this comes with, you know, a lot of funds and all that. So that for me, it's what it is. Early start, and then don't just think there's someone somewhere who is going to be taking care of you, waiting for you and all that. It's what you have to do from the very beginning. The moment you pick up your appointment letter, that's when you need to start.
All right, let's hear from the ladies in the house. Devon, I don't know, in your opinion, what do you think, you know, it's that big fear of, you know, retirement for a lot of people? I know you've had the benefits of working in several places, and of course, with your political ambition, you've also interacted with a lot of elderly people. What has been the fear?
Well, let me start with myself. You see, if I have my way, my kids will not go into salaried employment.
Wow. True.
Yes, if I have my way.
That's harsh.
Yes, they should explore doing their own thing or coming into any of the family-owned ventures. The reason I say this is because I grew up with parents who were in the public service, who were civil servants. So that was the mental image I had for my future. I'd wake up every morning and see my mother go to work, see my father go to work. So that was what I knew. Okay, I'll go to school, I'll finish, I'll get a job, and be going to work, and then I'll get married, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't have a different perspective on how to make a living. Where I grew up in Benue State, like that's in Makodi, that's the main thing. It's a civil service town. Everybody who is of the middle class is a civil servant. I only have one aunt by marriage who, she said she started with the civil service before she eventually branched out into doing her own thing. She's somebody who has natural business acumen, and she has done very well for herself. She went into general contracting. But every uncle, every aunt from my parents, everybody I knew was a salary earner. So naturally, that was what I hoped for myself, and that was what I gravitated toward. And that was where life took me. So I started work with NTA after NYSC, and quickly discovered that those beautiful clothes I used to see Sienna Owell Brown wearing on the network news, Eugenia Abu, I came to realize, well, it was not, there was no way it was coming out of the salary.
Sometimes
I mean, like,
they are packaging.
I don't know.
I'm wearing, it could be looking nice on TV. But
I don't know how they were coping. I don't know how they were coping, but all I can say is I'm almost definite that they must have had some other side gig that was helping them to look that nice. Because I'm sorry to say it was not the salary. It can't have been. Because I entered the system now and stayed there for 12 years.
Joy, she's yapping us and you're laughing.
No, I have to be a bit honest. When I know the
She was just
exact-
being honest. She was just being honest.
So that's the thing. So by my 5th, 6th year, I realized that I had no intentions of remaining in public service for 35 years. It wasn't for me, not with that kind of salary. So I gradually gravitated into international organizations. I worked with the BBC. I worked on USAID funded projects, World Bank assisted projects, things like that. Good salary, certainly much, much better than what you get in the public service. But they have a pension scheme. Even public service has a pension scheme, right? It's when you start relating with retirees or people who have resigned and are relying on maybe some form of gratuity or pension or something that you realize that it's peanuts. It's shabby. So I don't know, as somebody who has been a salary earner all my life, at a point, yes, okay, I went into politics, that went the way it went. Then I started trying to set up something and say, you must have a gig, you must have your own thing that you're doing. But because I don't have the acumen, I don't have business sense, I didn't have any training in it, instead of me sticking with what I do best, which is video production, media, journalism, that's my main thing, that's what I was trained at, I started exploring so many different things, and they all tanked. I'd put money into this one, it would fail, I'd put money here, it would fail, then the next thing, fear set in. Because I started thinking of myself as a failure. Why? It's like everything you touch dies. That's the thought that was going on in my mind. That it may not have been true.
It's just because, like you said, you didn't have the
I didn't have the training. I didn't have the acumen. I didn't have the right kind of system.
We'll come to this part of the story because I need to know, since we must have life after retirement, at what point do we begin to have the training and exposure while in service? But before then, I know Joy has never been employed.
That's good.
But Joy makes money.
That's good.
So how?
Because when you're employed, you fall asleep.
Well, what do I say?
The hustle is real.
The hustle is very, very real, especially right now. I was brought up in a military home, and I always use my dad as an example. My father used to say, you have to put certain things in place. He always used to tell my brothers that as a man, you must have your own house. You must pay school fees. There are certain things you have parents tell you when you're sitting down, and it sank in my head. And I remembered when my father retired, theirs was so bad because it was a coup and they sent most of them away. And I will never forget when my father told us, and the person that was wailing was my mom.
Your father retired? Your
No,
mother
they
was
retired them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the military. They retired him, and he was telling us as a family. And my mother was wailing. But I didn't understand that until when I realized that I had to move from Ikoyi to the mainland. And I had friends telling me, you know, I can't cross over the bridge. I'm sorry. You know, it's going to be very difficult. Then I now realized that,
you moved from grace to grace.
That was it. So, but luckily for me, I was still young. So I now sat down and I said, reality check. You have to do something for yourself. I left school and I opened a shop in Lagos. I had that shop for 10 years. And I knew it was bringing everything I wanted to pay for. I got it from the shop. I even assisted, like my sister who wanted to do ICANN and all that, you know. I said to reduce the burden from
your parents.
My parents and all that. And I won't lie to you, as a first child, it was a lot. I worked. And that's why I tell people that, yes, some people say hard work doesn't pay, but sometimes it pays. It's just that now in Nigeria, people who work so hard never get paid. I do so many things by the side. I cook, I do contracts. But I think the advice I would tell people now is that the energy you put in contracts, I think you should put it in a side hustle.
My skill acquisition.
Yes, because the pain. You're sitting down there. I have jobs 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. They've not paid. And every time they tell you they want to pay, they always tell you to bring money. So I
don't understand. Somebody is owing you. You want to collect your money. You bring money to collect it.
That's the system.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's the system. So if you don't play with that system, so the advice I would tell everybody now is look for something, look for service, provide service. If you provide service, people will look for you.
But what about a trade?
See, a trade is a service.
Okay.
Yeah, you understand. So the thing now is that for 1 year, I have not done contract. I haven't died. I've been living from the things I've been selling. I've been living, right now, I want to start cooking for people. Okay, the Yoruba people are around now.
Catering.
Yeah, catering. The Yoruba people are around right now. And they always tell me, I can't say eforiru. I don't see good things. People are using shoko for eforiru and all that. So now I'm sitting there. I want to do my business plan. Not catering for big, you know, for individuals and all that. Because retirement now, even the people that are working, before the end of the month, the whole money is gone.
You know, you're going to... The end of the month is very far. You're going to, you know, speak with us again on how to ensure that people in the private sector really plan for retirement. Because when you're in the private sector, I know it's easy for you to get that money and you squander it. But before we get to that, most of us here have gone through civil service, including Madame, and she kind of got almost everything right. I don't know. And I know that one of the biggest problems we have in civil service is the 11th hour. I need you to tell us, Stefani, what should I be looking at to ensure that my monies are given to me at the right time? How do I start ensuring that my monies are given to me at the right time? When, very importantly, do I start ensuring that my monies are given to me at the right time?
Okay, you know, you see, this is how it works. There are structures that are created around all these things, and then, you know, starting with the employment. Now, the Pension Reforms Act of 2004 gave room for people to be able to save towards their retirement, yeah? And then you, as an employee of the federal government, you are expected to open a retirement savings account with a pension fund administrator. So you should ensure that happens from the beginning. You know, some people just assume that this thing has to run. You know, the other system where it was just the defined benefit payment system, that was different. It's at the end of the service year, you are entitled to your gratuity and then the monthly pension. But this is different. In this system, the government saves up 10% for you, and then you save up 8%, making a total of 18%. That is being taken from your salaries every month. So you first thing you must do is ensure that you have those details in place. And then you ensure that your deductions are, getting to your PFAs at the end of the month. You should always call for your statement to see these things on periodic basis, either monthly or bi-monthly. Yes, you could call for it at any time. Maybe while in service. PFA, yes, you approach your PFA. There must be some desk officer somewhere that should be able to, provide those kind of information for you that, oh, see, you have this X amount. And by the way, we have alerts at the end of the month. They send you alerts. They tell you, oh, at the end of this period, you have gotten this in your savings. This is the amount you have as at this time. So when you...
People don't even know the offices of their pension or PFAs.
Yes, that's why I said you start from the beginning. The moment you pick up an employment in any federal establishment, you have to approach the PFAs and say, okay, what do I do? And then get registered, get your details in place. I can tell you there are some people who just wait till the 11th hour, like you rightly said, wait for 5 years' time, and then, alas, they look at their pay records. They don't even have PFA records.
If I may come in, usually organizations handle this. You don't have to get up yourself and go and start knocking on any pension provider's door.
No, I agree, but like I said, they defined the program withdrawal system. It has made pension issues a personal issue, so you must take it up by yourself. And that's why it's called the retirement savings system. So you choose. You are at liberty to choose, and then you have to go through. And then of course there's also a window that has been opened recently for you to make changes. If this particular PFA you are in right now is not giving you what you want, then you can make a switch.
Okay, I can always swap.
Yes, for some period.
On that issue, the problem starts from the point where the person gets the appointment letter or point of employment. What we have these days, a lot of haphazard employment. It's not structured. So somebody comes in today. How you got in there, nobody knows. No vacancy was declared. And so they don't have what you call the orientation. There's no orientation for the newly employed. And it is at the point of orientation. I come from an establishment where that is. At every point that staff are employed, we have orientation. So you are told this is what is expected. These are your rights. These are your obligations. This is what the service has to offer you. So people don't just know these things automatically. You are talking of maybe young people who have just come out of school. You expect them to know, okay, there's a PFA, there's this one. Nobody is telling anybody anything. True. And so they just come, they just have to collect salary, year in, year out, you just continue. You don't know that there's any such thing going on. It is only towards the end that they'll have a maybe retirement program, some very funny retirement program. Come and sit people who have been working there for maybe 30 years and tell them how to rear grass cutter. They call that one retirement program. How to rear grass cutter and goats. How?
No, but then again, at the point of enrollment, when you begin an employment, like I said, the system, the way it's run now is structured. There's a payment system for the salaries. At the point of enrollment, of course, nobody will enroll you on the salary system without you having these things in place. In any case, one adds up to the other. So you don't just complete the enrollment until these things are in place. So I think, yes, the orientation has its own place, but also you are guided from the beginning to know what to do.
Okay.
It's like saying you want a salary account and you don't, a salary to be paid to where and you don't have a salary account.
So that's why the military, I have to give the military thumbs up. We used to have issues with the military then about all of them staying and never paying their pension and all that. But I think they've stepped up their game and now it's totally different. What they always even try to do is, who is your next of kin? Because I think before, the biggest problem they were having was that your parents were your next of kin. So if the person dies, there is the parents that take. So now, what they've done is tell us.
What if the parents died before the person died?
Well, I don't know, and that's what he's saying. When you go into an establishment, that's the first thing you should do, because when most of them leave the academy, their parents are still their next of kin. They never change it, but now there's an awareness. I think the military is doing, and they have totally changed the thing about retirement in the military, because the first thing they're even doing now mainly is for health insurance and for housing. You see, because if you have those two things in place, it reduces a lot of problem.
When you're older,
yes,
it's true.
If I may come in here, based off of what Mary said about young people being employed and not really understanding what's going on. I know I had that problem, and I'll jump on the next of kin thing. You know, my family, everybody was in Makudi. I came to Abuja and all this. So whenever I was filling any of these forms, depending on who I was squatting with, that was my next of kin. No, seriously, no, because I used to think it's next of kin is the person they call if you're in an accident somewhere. You know, I mean, I didn't have money to bequeath anybody, and my father was in Akodi. So I mean, like,
your next of kin should be your landlady.
At some point, Julie Kile was my next of kin. Sushima Agu has been my next of kin. I mean, it just depended on who I was squatting with, or who I was closest to at that time. So I've had like 5 or 6 different next of kins before I even exited NTA. You understand? So there's real confusion for young people coming out of school and entering the work environment. You don't receive enough orientation, and I guess parents assume that the place you're going to work at will tell you everything. So your parents are not telling you anything either.
Sometimes
and you're just there floating
parents
around
may know,
and making a lot of mistakes.
They don't want to get involved, depending on the relationship they have with their children. Because if I walk up to my daughter and say, you know, you're not married and you don't have a child, you don't have a bingo, you know, use me as your next of kin just in case. The person may not find.
No, it's not about me even telling you who to put. Is that I'll explain to you what next of kin is.
Okay. All right, we're getting messages. Somebody says here, thank you for this program. It's really educative for me as a Gen Z and already preparing me for the future. I'm here watching with my writing pad and taking notes. I salute you and the guests. You're all doing well. Gloria from Abuja. Gloria, I also want to know why you're learning. Tell us your preparation as for your retirement as a Gen Z. Because by that time, you may not be Gen Z again. You'll be very, very old adult. I love the conversation. Thank you. Now, I still want to pick up again, still on this side. If I may talk a little bit, I want to know, what is the problem? Why is it that when people retire, I hear, for 2 years, I've not been paid my dues? Why do we have that problem?
Well, I wouldn't want to call it a problem. Like I said, when you get everything right from the beginning, you don't need to run into any difficulty. You know, you have pre-retirement plans in place where you are expected to do some form of documentation. Now, if these documentations are not in place, sometimes at the point of payment, you might begin to have some issues, and then you are being referred back to your employers to go get some things done or to get some documentations in place.
So,
they're not agree with that.
Yes, no. But like I would say, when you do your own part, the payment aspect of it might just be more of, well, administrative, a PFA issue, or maybe some other issues outside of your own making. But like I said, the pension now is a personal thing. So you see to it that your details are in place, the things you need to do, they're there. There's a pre-retirement verification exercise. Attend all of those. Do what you have to do. And I don't think you have so much of a problem. Yes, it may be in the past they used to have this very lengthy period of time before payments are being set. Yeah, but then it's been breached. I think there are some people who are getting it, you know, close enough now. Maybe 6 months down the line, they get their payments and all of that. But then, but to the best of my knowledge,
but Mr. Ifeanyi. Go ahead. I'm losing patience with him. Go ahead. He's still a young man himself.
Yes, I agree.
So he
By
can
pre-retirement
speak
stage.
so he can still talk about this ideal situation. I'm lucky to have retired from an establishment where things are actually properly done. Where you are actually summoned to come and do your verification.
Thank you.
And because the staff strength is not like that of, it's not as humongous as that of the general civil service, they can do that. I have friends who have been retired for about 2 years and have not received anything. Retired from the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That can barely put a meal on the table.
I agree.
Friends, not one, not two, not three.
Really sad.
And what is usually the problem? I do not know whether it is the responsibility of the Civil Service Commission, I don't know the authority responsible, that should ensure, bring it to the notice of these people, that there's need for you to now do your verification. In fact, in some instances, there are no remittances to the, is it the PFA or whatever, no remittance. And then you find out at this late stage that nothing was there in the first place. Meanwhile, you were busy working. You know, we have this thing, unfortunately. It should be the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. But here, when you get to that level of assistant director, deputy director, director, that's when you work until 10 at night. You work until 8. You are there early in the morning. You are working. So they are dedicating so much of their time to this work that they do not remember their own person. And then suddenly it's time to retire. They are scared. They don't know what is out there because they have been in there for so long. And we really treat our retirees very badly. As much as I eulogize how retirees, the fact that I come from an organized establishment, those who are in service at every point in time treat retirees as if they are criminals.
But one day you too will be retired.
Forgetting that one day they'll retire. So they pontificate. Sorry, with all due respect, Mr. Ifani. They make it seem like the ideal is actually working. So they tell you, oh, the government is doing this, you do this. The blame is on the civil servant, on the retiree, because you did not do the necessary thing at the right time. When you are in there, it's very easy to have that approach until you get to the end. That finishing line. And you find that, see, these things you thought were so perfect. They ought to know. They ought to have done this. They ought to have verified. You find that even you did not know. That the reality is very far from the ideal that you preach.
Yeah.
You know, while you're talking, I think I see both of you are actually heading towards one direction. And you're laying emphasis on the fact that the organization should sit up and notify people at every stage what they should do, what Ifeanyi said we should do. Not waiting for. I know that retirement now is personal, you know, but then that the organization, perhaps admin and accounts,
that happens.
Team up. They should constantly remind us.
That happens. That's what gives rise to the verification exercise. Of course, there's a pre-retirement activity that takes place. There are some documentations that happens, you know, while you're still there. You know, maybe a year or two in between, you are notified. You know, and don't forget there are some persons like she did. You exit the system way before the time, you know. So probably, I don't know if you had issues at the time you were leaving, but they are just at two different ends. There's someone who will just say, oh, I want to leave before the time, and there's someone who leaves at the time he ought to. You leave either 35 years in service or 60 years of age, whichever one that comes first.
See, let me even say, I resigned, yeah? And at some point, a colleague and friend, very close friend of mine, who had already gone through the process of doing her pension stuff and everything, started putting me through. You need to have this, that, and the next. You need to... They're asking of pay slips that I used to keep just by mistake. You should have this, and this pay slip.
So when you're...
That nobody ever told me, ever,
that you need
that you need to keep pay slips for anything.
I don't even
so
know
there are gaps in my pay slips.
No, but then
hang on,
these are documents that you need to keep.
Well, nobody ever told me. So the ones that I have are the ones that I just happen to have. Not because I went out of my way to keep them.
No, I want to know, are they asking for pay slips?
Yes.
Of when I started and when
you are still in service now. You go see them when time reach for it. They are going to ask you for waiting and call them consecutive, concurrent, whatever.
No, but they have specific periods because there were years that salary structures changed. So those periods they want to see the transition in those salary regimes. So they just give you
while you were being paid those salaries, nobody was telling you this particular set of, or in fact, as you are entering the system, now everything is digitized. In our time, these things were in paper form. Nobody is telling you, you see these pay slips, it's not just to prove that you got your salary this month. Keep them because you're going to need them for some level of verification, documentation, and such tomorrow. Me, I'm even lucky. It's just that over time, I've formed the habit of keeping things that I think might be important. But of course, because I didn't know I'd be required to present them at some point, I have some, I don't have some. But when I came and started the process, oh, you don't have this pay slip, oh. You don't have the pay slip for August of 2007. You don't have the pay slip of July 2005. Where am I going to dig them up from?
No,
this is Abuja,
you could also
move from house to house every 2-3 years.
You could access those pay slips. Even the ones
we
have a database. There's a database.
But the person that is asking me for these things, and I'm telling the person, I don't know where they are. That person has not told me, if you cannot find them, go to this place. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't have those pay slips. I'm stuck. I'm in trouble because now everything is digitized.
Okay, so we're finding out now, even me for the first time, that I need to get my pay slip. And then if you are telling us also that as long as the organization is concerned, at least where you work, if I can't find it, I can always go up to the IDPS office.
Yes, you
and
can.
Get it printed
you
out.
can, yes.
All right. That's good to know.
Sure,
and let's interact with our viewers. Somebody is asking us to, explain the next of kin.
Very good.
Okay, so you probably, can you take 1 minute on that, because the next ones are very lengthy.
I still don't know that very well. Let the lawyer help us.
Okay, well, I think it's between two of you. Can you explain
what is the real meaning of next of kin? Some people think next of kin is the person that inherits your money when you die.
No, that is not the meaning of next of kin. In the event of anything happening, who is the person that they should contact?
Exactly.
That
so I wasn't wrong.
It means, like for us who are Catholics, we used to have something. When you have these medals, these memorabilia on your listing, is written at the back, I am a Catholic. In the event of an accident, contact a priest. So,
I think both of us.
It covers that.
I think both of us, sorry, madam, I think both of us is a bit different, because what I was told as my next of kin was who either inherits and who is contacted. And that was why all my life I've done my mom. You understand? But you see, like in the military, like my father said, is that when you are in NDA, most of the kids still have their parents. So in any situation, something happens, they were having problems that when anything happens to the officer, the family, his family takes what is due to his family. And that was why they said for next of kin, it has to be your immediate family.
Let me talk to you from the point of view of the law.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly what.
That is the mistake a lot of people make. When you have your next of kin, he does not immediately become the person who he inherits. There has to be, whoever is going to inherit has to obtain a letter of administration. So if the person who obtains a letter of administration is not your next of kin, he's the one who's going to handle your whatever it is that you've left behind. It's not your next of kin.
Okay. Well,
so the next of kin is
even your next of kin has to obtain a letter of administration if he is going to be the one who will
not in the military.
See, the law.
Sure?
No, just hold on.
Because what she's saying is something I have heard before.
See, the fact
it's that letter of administration.
The fact that a thing has been done again and again by a group of people does not make it the law.
Okay.
By the law, it's that letter of administration.
Well, I'm
You know-
telling you out of experience.
So
Yes, because the next of kin,
Yeah.
you know, when in the event of, okay, like for example, you have the program withdrawal of the pension system. Now, the person is supposed to earn it for 10 years, and then in the process of time, the person passes on, maybe before the 10 years elapses. Who does the benefit goes to?
That's
go
what
to?
I'm saying.
You know, in terms of
It's the next
monetary
of kin.
values, who's the next of kin? So they will always want you to have at least two next of kin, okay, like who is going to now be paid this amount that is left in your account.
let me tell you,
So,
I worked
that
in
next
the
of
legal
kin-
department,
Yes.
and we handled a lot of staff issues like this. A lot of staff issues like this. Somebody comes and says, I'm the next of kin. Somebody else comes with a letter of administration. Yes, if it is not challenged, the next of kin. But if any person goes ahead of that next of kin to get a letter of administration, it takes precedence over that of the
Not
next
in
of
the
kin.
military.
So, okay,
You know,
so
Not
that
we
is
will
a
also
position
learn
of the
to
law.
talk to our next of
Not in the
kins
military.
to own a letter of administration from the right places. But let's read more. Good morning. I love this program. Your guest has been providing easy to understand. Oh, okay, has been provided easy to understand. Last time you discussed about the way the banks charge customers unnecessarily. Please, I have been looking for an opportunity to ask you to please talk about the insurance companies too. There is a lot of stealing going on there, and the money they make from customers, some of them don't even pay their staff well. The way most of our pensions and insurance companies operate in Nigeria is discouraging people to go into such service. All right, you didn't give us your name, but all the same, I appreciate you, and I want to assure you that perhaps next week, because our time is almost up, we will be continuing this topic from that angle, as well as possible financial gains or ventures the retirees can get into. Another person says here, good morning, gentlemen. Retirement is a blessing, but Nigerian pension scheme make it difficult for jobless people to regain their normal life. This is Sunday. He says his name is Sunday. And another person says, presenter, please, the problem of retirement in Nigeria is from government and pension commission. The delay in paying gratuity on pension commission, usually saying that government has not remitted their percentage for payment, and it delays for years. Government should please encourage the payment of the remits on time. And so many messages coming in. I hope I can say the issue. Good morning. The issues of PENCOM has become something else. Please, you people should look into it. Thank you. And to think that we actually invited a PFA to speak with us here, and unfortunately they couldn't make it. We hope that next week they will. The accountant in the house should please give a brief of the 25% payment by pension administrator after retirement, because some retirees do not have any knowledge about it immediately after retirement. This is Nagaba Mia Kele, right?
Okay, I don't know the 25% is referring to, but you know it is 25% that you can access while in service. You know, that's basically for mortgage purposes. You can access that, but I always advise people, don't tamper with your savings, your retirement savings. Don't for any reason, because some people want to say, okay, let me even take the 25% upfront
do business
and maybe do some other things or go for a mortgage. Just hold on till when you are ready and to retire, and that retirement, the 25% comes to you. You can use it for whatever it is, because by the time you start depleting while in service, maybe for example you have like 5 years to go or 10 years to go, and you want to access your 25% away from what you have already saved, what is left? So I always advise people strongly, stay away from the temptation of wanting to access your 25% while in service. The other 25% that is paid to you at retirement, that stays. That is still part of the obligation of the government to you. So that is paid to you, and then the others are spread for over the period of 10 years. You know, like pension, every month you get whatever the 1/3 of what you were earning while you were in service.
But
So
don't you
so.
think it's better to start a business like what she did, that it was easier for her to just get into it? Because if you wait till retirement, okay, look at what's happening in Nigeria now. How much was the dollar yesterday?
The time value of money.
The value. That's
Yes,
the problem.
yes, time value of money. I
Yes.
agree, but you see, you can't pull out that 25% for the purpose of starting a business. In any case, it doesn't even come to you. It goes to a PMI.
Okay.
It's for the purpose of mortgage. It's spelled out there. So you are not supposed to engage those funds in other ventures other than the mortgage facility. So if maybe you don't have a house yet, but I also think that people should employ the National Housing Fund.
No,
Okay,
but guess what? It doesn't work.
Doesn't
It's not-
work.
it's National Housing Fund.
It doesn't work.
As somebody who has benefited from it,
Yeah.
it would be wrong for me to sit here and agree that it doesn't
okay.
work.
It
Maybe
works. It works. There's a process
it works,
to it.
It
Yes.
works with a lot of problems.
There's
I've
a process to
accessed
it.
the NHF thing. I'm in court.
You're in court, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
It's been over 10 years in court.
So how does it?
Some people
Yeah.
will have died.
So if
Yeah.
if people are saying it doesn't work, well, I understand where they're coming from. But as somebody who actually got the loan
But
and
you
through a
being in court
PMI
being-
and all of this.
You being in court is not because of the money, it's because of what you invested in.
Oh no, it's
Money,
because
money.
we are digressing now. I applied for this thing to who does this FMBN blah blah
Yes,
blah.
Federal Mortgage Bank.
Now we applied for the loan. For whatever bizarre reason, a loan that was supposed to be approved of in 6 months took them 2 years to release that money to the PMI. Then the PMI now sat on it for another period of months because the PMI carried the money and went and stashed it away in another bank
another account.
so that they could get
Profit.
whatever would
So
accrue
they
from there,
could
put into.
That's it.
And those of us who had already started the process of buying a house and had already started paying from our own personal funds, pending when the bulk money will come, now got into trouble with the developer because let's say the house was spec'd at 6 million,
Okay.
the 2 years it took, my guy increased the price now.
Don't blame
Despite
him.
the fact that you don't build house finish,
Ah, well.
not be say they build the house, they go. As we never pay finish, the guy, please, anybody that doesn't understand pidgin English, just go back, because that's how I feel right now. If I don't express myself in pidgin English, I won't say it well.
Okay,
How so
yeah,
the man don't build finish, don't paint and don't do everything
you don't
finish,
do.
once he add money join on top, each another like 5
You
million.
don't do.
You
They
understand?
vex you.
So
it's
I
the
carry
pain.
I carry the man go court, I carry FMBN go court, I carry the PMI go court.
Only
Yes,
you.
Only me.
So that
Yes,
means it
there are
doesn't
some
work.
banks
It's not
that have to fight
working.
like
It's
that.
not working.
So
I
it's not-
think it's
fair to
relative.
say it's not working.
Yeah, but
I
I think-
accessed it, but
okay.
it's not working.
I know
That's what they put
my
Nigerians through.
my son is a civil servant. 2 years ago, a young man with his small money, small family, he wants to have his own place. Just like you said, he applied over 2 years ago.
They still haven't discussed it.
Nothing has been done.
Federal
So-
Mortgage Bank of Nigeria.
it doesn't
Let's
work.
not be shy. It's you we are saying. It's you. No, true. Between themselves and the PMIs that they work with, there's
It
a
doesn't
lot
work.
of
You
malfeasance
see
going on
the
there.
thing in Nigeria. You see, one with regulators. That's why sometimes we say nothing works. You can keep going on and say it will still not work. And what's the biggest problem in this country? They get this money and put it in the bank.
It
Yes,
makes
profit.
It makes some people
Rich.
And that is why in civil
talking
service,
as a retiree.
yes,
Talking as a retiree. With all due, I always
with all due respect,
as the lawyer in me, with all due respect,
yes,
the money the civil servant gets,
ah,
even those who get to the level of directors, a civil servant that retires has 2 houses in Abuja, 2 houses in his village.
Yes.
He is a thief.
that's the point.
Sure.
And that's why
Of the
everybody's
salary
stealing.
and so when you say these things don't work, it is because some people are stashing that money so that they convert it to their own use. When your salary as a director is maybe 400, 500,000 naira a month, and you have children going to school, at what point did you get 20 million to build a house, or 100
20
million?
million?
No, I'm just
Okay.
no,
All right.
or 100 million, and you built at what point? What savings are we talking
let me
about?
answer that question. But then, in answering that question, I'll beg for you to join me again next week because we're going to answer it, together. Lots of people in service are engaged in, multiple streams of income.
I don't agree.
My sister.
I don't agree. They are stealing from the system.
And meanwhile,
No.
before
I
we
will not-
disperse from
no,
this place,
I don't agree.
I had mentioned earlier that I had dabbled into things that didn't work. Those ones didn't work. But now that I'm focused on what I was trained to do and know how to do well, it is working fine.
Okay, that's good.
So I have my own media firm, which, well, let me say it's a consultancy firm that is also into video production.
All right, it's good to know. And one of these days, I'll also make sure that I come and see how you're doing this and doing it well. But then it's good to be retired, and a lot of people tell us that it is a blessing. So many messages here. Don't lose hope. We'll be here again next week to do a part 2 of this. And next week, we'll be looking more into why we do not have enough when we retire. You know, a lot of us go into certain things that are not okay. And then what we can do to have enough, just like Madam did with fashion. And then at what point do you start doing that? That will be our thrust for next week. Until then, it's conversations. Can we just say bye-bye?
Bye.